Mike and Rick Thielmans here. We are founders of the Tribe Method and co-sponsors of this summit with Funk Roberts, who you're going to be hearing a lot of in this presentation. So we're going to bring the Tribe Method to you today and teach the science of tribal connection to attract customers who actually want to pay and stay for life. Let's get into it. So if you're a creator who sells products and programs on the internet, if you have an expertise that can actually help change lives and you want the freedom to nurture customers and get them results, if you want a community of loyal customers who want to pay and stay month after month, then you understand it's really hard to get attention and sales these days. Customers, they ain't loyal anymore, and people, they simply suck at doing what's good for them and actually using the programs that they bought in the first place, which makes business really hard if members aren't getting results. So then you don't get testimonials, referrals, repeat sales. You have to spend your time selling instead of actually helping people, likely not working in your zone of genius. And you have to create new products and programs to get paid, and your community bleeds a slow death as the engagement dries up. Not cute. So if you can keep customers longer, you can 2 to 3x the LTV of every customer. You can move them up that value ladder to sell higher ticket programs. You can create and collab on more products that your members actually want from you. You can get more social proof and more engagement from your members as they become more invested, and you develop members into free community support leaders to keep your community practically self-governed. Pretty hot. So that is how we have come to find this Tribe Method, right? How do we find the right customers, specifically for Community Day? How do we find the right customers who want to pay and stay for life so that the community is hot and so you can grow your business from the inside out? So what is this secret formula for customer attraction? That's ultimately what we wanted to know when we were burnt out from trying every new marketing tactic over the last more than 10 years now. We were direct response marketers at heart. Since we were 16, we fell in love with online marketing. And we spent pretty much our entire 20s operating a marketing agency, coaches, creators, basically anybody who would hire us, and just testing absolutely everything, throwing shit at the wall, just trying to see what sticks, and banking on wins, praying for wins. And it was hard. Marketing is unpredictable, right? There's a fancy new marketing strategy every season whose success fades when customers start catching on to how it's done. So learning copywriting, then learning offer structure, and then ad creation, how the algorithms are working that week. It's just a never-ending cycle, buying more courses to learn from, finding new mentors, finding fancy new tactics. And so we were just spinning wheels, trying to find strategy after strategy, trying to attract these customers and then retain them, right? And then on a lonely bus ride back from North Bay in the dead of winter in the tundra of Canada, we lost our biggest client, who was more than 80% of our mediocre monthly income. And so we had this rock bottom realization, this sad bus ride corner. And we decided, like, we don't want to make ourselves better at marketing, but how do we make our clients more marketable, right? And so that's what we ultimately set out to do. And so marketing changes all the time, but there's one thing that never has, and that is the human brain, right? If we can understand how the brain works inside these buyers, then we could figure out how to make our clients more psychologically attractive. And after dumping thousands of dollars more into coaches and courses, hoping to find a secret formula for customer seduction, studying human psychology, pouring through neuroscience studies on human behavior, finding frameworks behind the biggest cult brands, here's what we found. So the brain's primary job is to keep us safe because humans are relatively weak in the animal kingdom. We can't run faster than cheetahs, animals. You know? There's lions out there that's trying to eat us. There's weather elements that are trying to take us down. Like, humans are relatively weak compared to the animal kingdom. So we need the power of numbers. We need the power of a tribe to protect ourselves. And that's why humans have developed advanced social skills to be able to connect with others and to carry on the human race. So while we don't live in physical tribes anymore necessarily for protection, because we've got these comfy homes and societies, people still belong to many tribes for our psychological safety and our existential need for belonging. So you interact with different tribes every day. Your family's a tribe, your coworkers, your teammates, that's a tribe, your gym buddies form a tribe, your rec leagues, your sports teams form a tribe, your friend circles, your Snapchat groups, you got tribes inside of your friend groups. Everything's a tribe. That's how we're wired. And each of these tribes have their own tribal identity. So your family, it's a shared surname. Your job title is an identity that you share with other people with that job title. Your members of a gym, they all belong to a tribal identity. There's the weekend warriors that are just starting out. But then you got the cardio bunnies doing their thing on the treadmill. You got the athletes who are training for something. And then you got the meatheads who just want to be juiced up. All different identities that they hold and all different actions associated with it. Sports teams, schools, they have a name and a mascot, and that's how you can represent yourself. That's how they can identify their people. Friend groups, sometimes you have a name for your cliques, your Snapchat groups, etc. All tribes. Each tribe has a set of rules and social norms that allow us to express this identity. Yogis act different than bodybuilders. Teenagers talk different than boomers. Muslims dress different than Mormons. Vegans eat different than meatheads. Different states have different accents. Different countries have different languages, et cetera, et cetera. You get it. So these tribal identities is what guides our actions and behaviors, because we're literally wired to conform to these social norms so that we don't get kicked out of the tribe. We want to belong. We need to belong. It's that advanced social skills that teaches us how to connect with humans. So our sense of self, my identity, is just my collection of all these identities that I hold, of all these tribes I belong to. And so it's the makeup of who we are, and we'd literally be lost without them. So our belonging to these tribes make us feel better about ourselves. They increase pride and self-esteem. And that's why isolation and loneliness creates depression, because that's how we're wired. And this is called social identity theory, which was discovered by social psychologists in the 70s. And so here's a long quote to define that really. Humans create a sense of self and self-esteem from their group memberships, leading them to gravitate toward these in-groups and those with whom they share common characteristics and ideologies. So the association with these groups provide not just a sense of belonging, but also a framework for understanding the world and one's place in it. It shapes our beliefs, it shapes our behaviors, and it reinforces our association to the collective identity, ensuring that we can belong to this group. People often favor their in-groups over their out-groups, which boosts their self-concept, confidence, and overall their reputation. Which is really good news for marketers, because that tells us that a brand can influence someone's behavior by marketing to one of those tribal identities. And Harvard proved just how susceptible humans are to this tribal programming. So in a study, they proved that 20 minutes was all it took to build a new social identity powerful enough to prompt new specific behaviors. And Russell Brunson proved the power of a tribal identity for an online business specifically. He turned his SaaS into a cult brand. Famously, ClickFunnels is like more than a SaaS, more than a software. It's a cult brand now. And in an interview with Caitlin Poulin, 12-time, rebranded to Lady Boss, which is identity-based. And she says, that's the reason we have 1.2 million women, why all types of women are getting tattoos on their bodies, why our average supplement buyer stays 8 months, why we go live with a new piece of apparel and it sells out in 18 minutes, why we convert 10% of every single email we collect into a customer, why we have 40,000 members in a paid community, why we have 1.2 million unique engagements in that group each month, and why 50% of them are active in the community every single day. Obviously not common for most fitness brands, but once they made theirs identity-based, boom, Lady Boss. So when we discovered these things, then we're like, oh my God, we finally figured out the secret formula for customer attraction. Happy days. So we documented all these different ways that we could apply this secret, this concept of identity, to create a predictable process for attracting better customers who want to pay and stay, because we were just tired of the grind of just trying new things all the time with every customer or client and not getting predictable results. So when Funk came to us after shutting down his failing fitness membership, then we thought, you know, we're ready to go. Let's do this thing. He just scaled his membership up to $1 million. In a way that wasn't ideal for them. So dispute charges, complaints, you can see him holding one of the disputes from his merchant account. So he had a terrible merchant reputation. They're holding funds, people are complaining, and he was like, I can't, this doesn't feel right. I'm just gonna shut it down. He's like, I got a basket of these. I got so many of these. not a KPI for a strong business. So we felt like we knew how to make his membership more attractive with our tribal identity secrets. So we met up in Toronto one cold winter day. We jammed out in a meeting room to redesign his brand, redesign his product experience, and make it all identity based. And after 2 short years of putting all these things that we were exploring, all the different secrets around tribal identity, then we turned Over 40 Shred, his failing fitness membership, and rebranded it into the Over 40 Alpha, identity based. And so after 2 years, that's when we officially hit that sweet spot where we could tell ClickFunnels, we did the thing, we got the 2 Comma Club award. And these are actually people who want to pay and stay, as opposed to the first way he did it, filled with complaints and dispute charges. So that's what we're going to show you today. It's the 7-figure tribe business blueprint, right? And broken down into the 3 categories of building a tribe brand. And so that's creating the brand itself, it's creating the products within it, and it's the community that influences more of the right customers to pay and stay for life. Because your community is only as good as the customers you let in. You can't build a strong community with the wrong customers. And it starts with part number 1, your tribe brand. And we really didn't want to get into branding, but everything starts at the brand level because it only takes 50 milliseconds for the subconscious mind to make its first impression of a brand. So the subconscious brain is always filtering the million bits of information. And so if the brand doesn't resonate with the self-identity, they just check out. They're like, this isn't for me. And so that means no product, no offer, no copywriting is going to fix an identity problem. And so your brand is the face and personality of your business. If your brand identity doesn't resonate with your customer identity, then you're not going to get attention and you're definitely not going to get a credit card number. And so we found there's really only 3 kinds of brands. Number 1, this is the me brands, very popular in fitness. You're over here, they're down here, and you're just speaking kind of down to them, right? It's very popular as a personal brand, where the brand is the founder's name, the logo is like their initials, the merch has their name on it, has the brand name on it. They can maybe generate a big audience that they're hoping to turn into sales, but it's all these different types of demographics. You're just trying to get customers. And so then when there is a community, there's poor engagement, there's no loyalty, it's kind of disconnected, right? And so when you're the hero of the story, then you don't create credibility. You might look credible, you might look incredible, but you're creating a disconnect, right? If your customers can't see themselves and their role in your brand story, then they don't feel confident that you are the one to solve their problems. You don't just need to convince someone that you can solve their problems. You need to convince them that you are the right person and business to solve their problem. Customers have more options than problems these days. And so we need to create an emotional connection for the brands to the buyer. And so number 2 is Me Too brands. So it's same, but opposite, right? Where it's very much just like these faceless brands. Like people don't relate to logos and mission statements. People relate to people. And so they only have a customer loyalty for as long as the product works for them or until another competitor hits their feed with a lower price, a better option. And so they're just competing on features and benefits. Maybe they're discounting their products to get sales, hiring expensive marketers, and it's very much just a race to the bottom. And so then we have tribe brands. And that's where you can see there's very much an overlap between who we are, who they are, and who we are together. So tribe brands, they're built around a collective. So they have a specific type of customer that they design their brand around, their products around, and their community for. There is an obvious sense of similarity to connect the brand with the customers. And so that when the community members see your offer, see your story, then they're like, it just spoke to me, right? It just makes subconscious sense to them. And so we can naturally attract the right customers while repelling the outsiders as a tribe brand. And so me brands and Me Too brands, they're very much about the demographics, things that you can put into a Facebook ad, age, gender, career, right? And that's what people are like, that's my niche, right? Demographics. But tribe brands, they market to identity, right? So that you can get attention and build this subconscious connection in 50 milliseconds. And so then customers see themselves in their brand. They can relate to it. They can understand it. They see how they belong to this thing already, right? Because it's a part of their current identity. It just speaks to that identity, and there's a chemical connection. And then they see, more importantly, they see people like themselves. And that's super important in the community, or there's going to be a huge disconnect and no loyalty. So when we started with Funk, Funk was very much a me brand. Funk Roberts Fitness, Funk Roberts Fitness, Funk Roberts Fitness Inc. And so we took that over 40 shred program. It was all about getting shredded. He's like, dudes want to get shredded, right? Look at him. And so we're like, no, these dudes don't want to get shredded. These dudes are 100 pounds overweight. Like, they can't do a burpee. And so they see this guy and they're like, at 50, there's no way I can do that. That's you. You're a former athlete. You're an MMA professional. Like, all these things. You're like, no. He was very much like the hero with it. And people were like, that's intimidating. I can't do that. And so there was just no similarity. There was just no connection there. And so they would disengage, cancel, dispute charges, and over 40 shred was shut down. So then when we took it and we're like, not shred, let's make it alpha. So over 40 alpha, then it started to paint this picture of like, well, an over 40 alpha is this certain person, right? Man over 40 with like his energy, is get his libido back. We build testosterone naturally. So it shows them what an over 40 alpha can accomplish. Not very much about like, this is Funk, but this ideal identity and what this person can do, right? So it expresses the values of the masculine protector, provider, procreator. We just build up what this identity is. And so they don't look at Funk as this unrealistic version of a man over 40 they can never become. They look at Funk and they hear his story and how that resonated. And they're like, oh, this is a man who's faced the same struggles as I have, like bottomed out testosterone and losing the girl and losing the muscle and losing all of the things that come with this coming of age, right? And so the customers understand this shared mission of getting that back, of rebuilding these bodies, of what is possible when you're an over 40 alpha. And it created a brotherhood, right? So there's more engagement, organic engagement in the group, because people just have this sense of belonging. People want to pay and stay and celebrate their new identity as a lifer or as an over 40 alpha OG, right? And so people are getting results every day, makes it easier to attract more of the right customers. And once we defined our tribe's identity, we reinforced this with the tribe products. Let's go. You can't build an engaging community without engaging products. People are terrible at doing what's good for them, but we need customers to use the products so that they get the results, they get the testimonials, they give us referrals, and that can help you grow the business. If they aren't engaging with the products, then they probably aren't engaging in the community. So if there's no engagement in the product or the community, then they'll soon hit their last login. That's when they lose hope in the program. They cancel their membership. They lose hope in you as their guide, their guru, and they find another guru to buy from. So because people act according to their identity, it's their current identity who lacks the discipline, the knowledge, the skill, the strength, the things they need to achieve the result that they signed up for and paid you for. Meaning a new customer's actions and behaviors, they're still in accordance with who they are, who they were, not who they want to be with your program. So we need to reinforce a new identity in order to change the behaviors that's required to actually achieve the marketable results that gets us the testimonials we need, the referrals, etc. And since we define the brand identity, over 40 alpha, we made that up, right? So because they don't know what that is, we get to define what that is, and therefore what we do and what we don't do. So customers are likely to adopt the beliefs and behaviors of the tribe because it's ingrained in their programming to conform to the identity so that they can belong to the tribe. So we shift their identity into an over 40 alpha throughout the product. So when someone joins, we tell them what it means to be an over 40 alpha. We show them how people like us act in order to achieve the brand promise, the mission. What are we doing here? So how do we eat? How do we work out? How do we recover? What's the mindset of an over 40 alpha? We define all these things so that it makes sense to them. We tell them how to win with the program so we can influence their behavior, take action, get results. We tell them how to act inside the community so they can conform to the social norms and they feel like they understand how to fit in and belong, because people hate uncertainty. So we need to show them how to behave and how to belong in their new social environment. I liken this to when you're at a new restaurant and you need to find the bathroom. I feel like an idiot if I don't know and I'm walking around this restaurant. I feel like people are watching me. It's that level of uncertainty. It's so minimal and no one's really looking at you, but you feel so crappy about that uncertainty that you just wish somebody said, this is where the bathroom is. This is exactly how to get there. And then no one's going to look at you weird. So especially pre-LASIK. So throughout the program, we make it very clear what their next step of the journey is to becoming the official over 40 alpha. And this increases their emotional engagement to the tribe. So as they progress through the milestones, then they unlock different levels of hierarchy, and that amplifies their connection to the brand identity and their connection to the tribe. So the deeper their connection to the tribal identity, the more it makes sense to buy other programs that Funk sells, because, you know, we buy things to make us more of who we are. And if who we are is defined by our identities, well, if they're an over 40 alpha, they buy products that over 40 alphas also buy. So basically anything Funk says, you know, he wants to create or they ask to create, it just makes sense that everybody buys it. And the more engaged, the longer they stick around, the higher the LTV, which is why we have so much social proof and marketable testimonials. It's why we have brothers sharing with their friends and their family and their mechanic, because people start to notice the results and they're just super passionate because people like to talk about themselves and this becomes a part of themselves. So the more we intensify this identity, the more of themselves they have to lose by canceling. And that's why they actually stick with the program, to get us some sweet social proof. So Funk's program changed my life. You're the man. Let's see. This program is the best thing I've ever done for myself. One of the best experiences. Nothing holds a candle to the over 40 alpha. Never been anything more comprehensive. The sense of positivity and camaraderie is outstanding and mind-blowing. Great. My fellow brothers. There you go. So once they're posting in the community, we can intensify their new identity in the tribe community. Community day, let's go. So your community can't survive without a purpose to post. Makes sense? And so we need to give people reasons to post in the community, or they don't do it, right? It's just left to their own devices and it just becomes a cesspool that nobody wants to hang out in, right? If they don't know what to post, they don't post. If they don't post, there's no notifications, no triggers to bring them back into the community. And if they don't post, then they're not emotionally investing into the tribe identity, into the product, into the experience. They're more just looking and watching and not becoming, right? And so that's why we define certain actions and behaviors known as the rituals of the over 40 alpha, or whatever your identity is, that become reasons to post in the Brotherhood. And so you can see Smell the Rose has become a verbiage of the Brotherhood. And so people will always be posting, including an actual picture, smelling a rose. But rituals, they give meaning to otherwise meaningless tasks. So rituals they're super crazy for tribe bonding and for the product itself. So rituals have been proven to increase the satisfaction of a task. So even with eating carrots, you can see if there was a ritual around eating the carrot, then the enjoyment went way up. Same with chocolate. People bought, it was like a 70% increase in price they were willing to spend if there was a ritual with how they ate the chocolate. And so it also makes doing hard things that are necessary to get the result, like in fitness, like working out and eating a way that they don't want to, it makes it more enjoyable because it's not just something they have to do. It's something that is part of something greater, a greater mission, something that everybody is also doing together. And defining the actions in the tribe, on the mission towards the promised land, we use these rituals as the engagement triggers that feed the community, right? And this increases the emotional bonding between the customers and the brand and the customers to other customers, and increases that similarity, that cohesion. And that's because of mirror neurons. So they are a type of brain cell that respond both when an individual performs an action and when they observe somebody else performing that same action. So the same neurons that fire when you smile will also fire just by seeing somebody else smile. So they play a crucial role in how humans create empathy, how we learn, how we observe our world, how we communicate with each other, and basically the formation of social bonding, right? Because humans were built for tribes and built to be with each other. Then the brain is always looking at how do we do that? How do we create this cohesion with other humans, specifically humans like us? And so the more rituals you have for the members to post in the group, it creates more reasons to post in the group. It creates more similarity of people posting something and seeing other people posting the same thing, mirror neurons, more empathy, more learning, more communication, more bonding. And then that deeper connection becomes deeper loyalty, right? And so the rituals of an over 40 alpha. So we tell them exactly what they have to do to increase testosterone naturally, get into the alpha zone, and become this over 40 alpha. You have to do this, you have to do this, you have to do this. These become the rituals of an over 40 alpha. And so we just encourage them to share these rituals in the community. Obviously, we bake it in with more meaning, like accountability. And so we just start seeing like the sweaty selfies, the meal prepping, the alpha dinners. And so once people start to post and then they see other people start to post, not only does it help the community, right? Specifically for something like food, like meal inspo is sweet, but they see other people posting what they're posting, and it becomes this frenzy of similarity across the feed. And then we intensify that similarity, right? So we send shirts to increase similarity for what over 40 alphas wear. We have phrases and sign-offs. We have our own custom lingo and verbiage in this is what over 40 alphas say. We have shared hand signals to increase similarity in how we act and how we recognize each other. And these become brand emojis so that you can start to see these similarity pieces, these in-group affiliation cues all over the place. And so just increased similarity, which increases a deeper emotional connection between the members and members to brand. And so you can see how a me brand and a me too brand can't do that. It has to be a collective identity. And that's what turns it into a real brotherhood, right? So we see these guys, they're forming real friendships offline. They're going on motorbike trips and saying like, who's in Ottawa? Who's in California? Like, I'm coming through, boys. And then the group becomes practically self-governed. We have a couple like systems in place, but because of mirroring and because of rituals, it just becomes its own little self-governed ecosystem. And then we have this natural sense of hierarchy because humans just exist in these hierarchical communities. Like it's just how we understand the world and our place in it. And so people just naturally take on this role of captains. Once they've hit a certain level, they're giving feedback, they're posting, and it basically becomes free customer support for us. And then, of course, we also have captains, which helps just create even more of an ecosystem and something to strive towards. And it's also how Brucey here went from brand new to branded in 112 days. So we were at Vince Del Monte's mastermind in Vancouver when he posted the first pic of his over 40 brotherhood, huge tattoo across his arm. And we're doing the math. We're like, that's insane. He's been in here for 112 days and he's got that tattoo. So he became our first captain. And so creating similarity throughout the customer experience is how you build a tribe business and a community of loyal customers who want to pay and stay for life. So, we have tons of these screenshots where they're just, even looking at identity, not only is over 40 alpha an identity, but lifer became an identity. So I'm a lifer, best decision I've made. Over 40 alpha for life, over 40 for life, alpha for life, no brainer, forever committed. Some of the best money I've ever spent. And we have a lot of this. So this is how the famous cult brands do it. Again, we wanted to study the cult brands when we were like, how do we create brands that are more marketable? And we're like, well, there's billion-dollar cult brands out there where they seemingly have customers who want to throw their money at them without even marketing or spending money on ads. So we wanted to know what were the frameworks that they do. So we look at Jeep, and they are known for the Jeep wave. And when we look at the theory behind that, it's not conclusive, but Jeeps started as a military vehicle. Therefore, the only people who had Jeeps at the beginning were soldiers. And so they already had a shared sense of similarity between Jeep drivers. And so that's what started the Jeep wave, but Jeep rebranded, they went more mass market. And so they honed in on a certain value system of their drivers, as opposed to just trying to cater to anyone who wants a cool car. They cater to the explorer. Jeeps are all about exploration, off-roading, and seeing the world in a different way. And because they create that sense of similarity to keep that going, the Jeep wave is still going, and they're making $42 billion a year. Insanity. Harley Davidson, a classic, they turned school teachers and accountants into rebels. That's not just, hey, whoever wants a motorcycle, that's for the other motorcycle brands. They connect people on a shared sense of freedom. So it's an unhinged middle finger to the world kind of mentality, because they want to taste that open road so they can vilify all the other forms of transportation. You get on that hog, all of a sudden it doesn't matter who you were, it's all about who you are in that moment. And because they understand who their customers are, they play into that rebellion, and they're making $5 billion a year. Ben and Jerry's, great ice cream, but they use ice cream to change the world through activist packaging and people first philosophy. And so they're very clear on their type of demographic, but they also make great ice cream. And everything is locally sourced. Everything, like all their packaging, has a cause. There's a lot of cool stuff if you actually like go to their website. But either way, you can feel good about eating their ice cream more than you do Haagen-Dazs, because it actually stands for something, and that's why they're making $450 million a year. And this can work even if you don't have a huge audience or a big budget. Again, we wanted to know what these cult brands are doing, but it's unrealistic. All of the TED Talks and books we're reading, they're like so theoretical that we didn't understand how to apply it to like the average small business online. So if you don't have a huge audience or a huge budget, it can still work. The Assassin Academy, this is Russell Stutley. We got together to build his membership for Pressure Point self-defense fighting system. But he has a small list, limited engagement, and we're still receiving payment number 41 from customers without touching it in 3 years, because it's built in a way that it becomes a part of their identity and they don't want to lose that identity. We had members requesting merch to signal the brand identity of an Assassin Academy. They call themselves the Brothers of the Red Fist, and they wanted us to create merch to put that red fist on it because it's a part of who they are, and they're proud to express that to the out groups around them. Kettlebell Warrior Academy, this is Chandler Marchman. We got together to build his fitness program for his kettlebell stuff. And we still have members stepping up to lead the community. We have 85% of people choose to stay every month, paying for 2+ years in a program that's only 13 months long. And even when they cancel, we still get a great testimonial out of it because people are saying it's one of the best programs they've ever done. Even though he doesn't really post in the group a whole lot, there's not a lot of engagement, but because the program is built in a certain way and the program itself is identity-based, people have enough similarity can tie it to their identity, and we get all this great stuff because of it. So we believe the future belongs to those who understand how to unify strangers on the internet. Marketers and creators can't keep operating like they did in the information age. Now that you can just Google anything or chat GPT anything you want, people don't want information products. They don't want products in the first place. They don't want hard stuff. They want to belong. They want to transform. So it's no longer the information age. You can't just sell PDFs anymore and hope people want to use it, because people suck at doing what's good for them. We're in the transformation age. So customers don't just expect a business to be able to solve a problem anymore. They want brands to guide them on a journey towards self-discovery and transformation. So it's the brands who understand how to fulfill this core human desire for transformation and belonging. They'll attract the best customers who want to pay and stay and tell their friends. And if your customers are human, then this can work for your business. So the future belongs to those who are willing to step up as a tribe leader, like the Funkster here, repping the shirt and just killing it for his people. And Funk, as soon as we got that 2 Comma Club award, he's like, you need to write a book. You need to document everything you did. And so reluctantly we did. And we found the 27 things that we did. There's 11 in the brand level. There's 6 in the product experience, and then another 10 on the tribe bonding. And it walks through step by step exactly what we did, how we built it into Over 40 Alpha, all the science behind what we did, even with Funk saying exactly how it was set up for his membership specifically. So all the science, all the data, the stories, and then Funk's example, all 27 secrets from the brand level to creating the product to the tribe bonding in the community. And so that's available if you're curious, if you want to know exactly what we did, if you want to replicate it, then there's 27 tribe secrets. It's real easy. It's like a paint by number for a brand. And it's available at tribemethod.com. So don't build a community, go build your tribe. Peace.